Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon. I bid to everyone here. My name is Shazi and thank you for joining us here at Ruang Community My SDG for today's program, which is learning lesson from SDG articles that were published in the Journal of Malaysian Parliament, Volume 4, 2000 and 2024. For your information, a total of 8 articles by APPGM Secretariat were published in the journal. This is a huge accomplishment, so please give a round of applause for all of our writers. All right. Without further ado, I would like to invite APPGM SDG Head of Secretariat, Professor Dr. Denison Jayasuriya, to give the opening remark.
Good afternoon. The camera is there. Okay. Nampak? Huh? Okay, we are doing double. So often we are very clear that the people in the room hear, but I'm not sure whether the people online are hearing or not. So someone will check to see that. Now, good evening to all of you. Delighted that Datuk Mustafa Muhammad is able to join us. We also have a guest from Bangkok, from UNSCAP, who is here for another program and visiting us, and also for the other guests here as well as online. Now, I have a set of slides very quickly to highlight some points. Next. Okay. Now, this is a journal, and I wanted to say sometimes we are always recycling thoughts and ideas. So that is one way of learning, by recycling thoughts, ideas, and many professors recycle it throughout their professorial life. But there is also the opportunity to contribute to knowledge and add to thinking, which is urgently needed. So how do we contribute to knowledge? How do we contribute to thinking? And journals provide the space for writers to develop more well thought out thoughts, research topics, and so forth. Now, a journal provides an independent peer review. My article was also peer reviewed internally as well as externally. And I think Ken reviewed what the reviewer was reviewing, and we were not sure whether we agreed to the reviewer's comment. But we complied to the reviewer's comments and writing. But peer review is important because you got an independent person reading and commenting and asking you to improve your article. Now, a good article has a good review of literature on the subject. One of the major struggles for us as a team is that many of us write on a subject, or we have gone down and seen a particular issue, but we are not doing literature review. We are not doing a Google search or a journal search or other articles along the line. And so a journal article forces you to do that. And you might have an opportunity to do primary data gathering from the ground. Some of you did that when you went to Jeli or you went to Pata Julutung in that context. And also there's an opportunity for you to interview or to be part of a focus group. I know some of you don't like it, but Dr. Su keeps reminding us you need to transcribe that data. You need to analyze that data because that's part of the focus group discipline in the work. So analysis is important. And I wanted this process to be such a learning process as well. So analysis is important, and new thought or theory is important. Now, when I started by saying we are recycling old ideas, because from our work, no new theory or thinking has emerged yet from the ground or SDG. We are publishing 2 books on poverty, but I'm asking the question, what is it new that we are saying about poverty in Malaysia. It might not be anything new, you know. So that's important. And then application, policy implications, and recommendations. Next. Next slide. Now, the opportunity in APPGM, because you are in a strange kind of an organization that is a secretariat, it's an activist kind of a group, but it also has some academic interest because of the people behind and the number of PhDs in the organization. I think we have about 7, 8 PhDs. Someone is just rewriting a PhD dissertation. She texted me saying she needs till September to finish her dissertation. So we are asking staff to be a reflective researcher or a reflective practitioner. Don't just be mechanical, buta, finish the project because your director or your supervisor is chasing you for the deadlines. We encourage you to document your work, one, in a popular form through Facebook or articles through the communication team, but more serious work by mapping reports, best practice stories, and some of you tell good stories when you come back from the field or have highlighted stories. So conference papers into books or journal articles is important. Now, why am I saying this? I'm turning 70. I'm turning 70. Some people say I look young. Some people say I look old. I found it difficult to drive this afternoon. So my son dropped me because macam mau tidur already at 2 o'clock. So self-improvement is key. Be a learning student throughout of life, a thirst to learn, reflect, critical thinking, and ask difficult questions. And always keep moving up. If you don't have a degree, get one. If you have a degree, then get a master's. If you already have a master's, get a doctorate. Don't ever say it's too late for you. Recently, there was a lady, Malay lady, who graduated at 80, 87, got her PhD. So, Ramat, never too late for you. Huh? Okay, this is just my closing thought, and then the panel will start. Becoming a thought leader is important. Are people thinking? I don't know how many of you are watching the American Democratic conference going on and on and on about Donald Trump and things like that. But thought leaders are people who are thinking, who are formulating. They are constantly struggling with what is SDG, how do we redefine it, and so forth. Everyone can think and have a view. So think, reflect, put thoughts on paper for others to read, impact the thoughts of the day. Some might say, who reads journals? You know, Tebal journal like this, Panir is holding a copy. Who's going to read it? Are parliamentarians going to read it? Are you going to read it? Siapa akan baca ini? Somebody asked me, actually my wife asked me, your monthly newsletter, 105 pages, who is going to read it? Is her question to me. So while a small number might read it, don't forget the reader might be a speech writer for the PM, for a minister. The reader might be a journalist who writes a popular article. The reader might be a teacher who might inspire others. So you might think your article is insignificant, but your ideas might be popularized. As was told just now, there are 14 articles, 8 are from us, which is about 57% of the journal is contribution. Parliament officer sent me the deadline for the next journal submission, which is December 31st, 2024. So they are hoping more articles will come. I sent it to Dr. Sue because she's got many laporan on policy that can go. So she said December is a fair time. Okay, those are my thoughts. I thought somebody is timekeeper, Tada Lochi. So I'm just and I hope that the discussion today and the presentation, the objective is to give visibility to our own writers. We want to recognize you that you were selected and you published in this journal of Parliament, and we are proud of you. And so we have a panel and they will present. So thank you very much. And let's use this as an opportunity to learn and think through the process. Okay.
Right. Thank you, Dato' Denison, for a very rousing speech. And I hope we can all be more inspired to write more, and we can all publicize our findings together. Right. So let's move with the first panel session to talk about case studies from APPGM works. So I would like to call Dr. Wan Sisita Wan Ibrahim, Nurul Syaira Abdul Aziz, Dana Claudia Undan Lupangol, Phyllis George Thomas, and Pane Selvam Jayaraman to come forward and start the session. For everyone's information, today's session, we will have two panels. The first of which will focus on the various case studies from APPGM SDG works, while the second panel will focus on SDG policies at the local and global stages. Uh, Presenters, please be noted that you will be provided 5 to 7 minutes to present your papers. And we will start with Dr. Wan Suzita to present her paper entitled Masyarakat Pribumi, Cabaran Masyarakat Orang Asli Peta dalam Mencapai Pembangunan Mampan di Taman Negara Endau Ropit, Mersing, Johor. Please, Dr. Wan.
Okay. Oh. So, dekat mana? Sini. Boleh ke? Tak boleh lah.
Boleh tak klip, guys?
Saya kena pakai jaket ke sini ke? Apa pun macam tu.
That's a good enthusiasm. Yes. How many online, Jeremy?
Boleh dengar? Online? Can you hear me? Yes. Dengar online.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Oh, macam mana nak pegang? Okay, good afternoon to everyone here. So, for today, first of all, congratulations writers from APPGM SDG. And then, thank you so much, Dato and Marama also for opportunity given to us publication for Journal Parliament. So, actually, my presentation today is about case study about this indigenous people, this challenge, further indigenous community in achieving sustainable in developing national park, say, Johor. So for this last year, the case study, and then constituency parliament for last year. So this is a part of my issue mapping report for parliament nursing. Okay. Actually, my presentation in Malay, so I'm so sorry for just guys not for today. I did not here. So, but for introduction, actually, for your information, oral skill development has been implemented since RK4, so 1918 until 1895. Oral SB Act 134, 1964, and Strategic Plan OA 2012, ND 25 and 21 until 2026. So actually, we have more program about the indigenous people. For example, we have the program, the Original Settlement Program or RPS since 1918. And then we have all the program improve their quality, especially life and reduce the poverty. But for the honestly, Sustainable Development to OA has been introduced since RNK4. So for the nation, especially social, economic, and physical. But until now, we have to still living behind and not progress to success. So for objective the study, we have to challenge Ora Asli for the achievement sustainable development goal, and then for your information for the method, the case study is more to use the study in qualitative, which active the interview, and then for the we got the issue more from them directly for face to face. And then for the data collection, for the technique in the field, more to flexible by through discussion with the two party, 25 religious representative, male and female, JPKK, around 35 until 36 years old. And then almost of them from Kampung Peta and then Jagun National. So the analysis more to identify and situational analysis. So next. Okay, this output. Sorry. This is output, and number one is development of social facilities. We are still with of the basic facilities, especially clinics, water supply, and hall. For reason one factor is distant for the location because we 76 kilometer from main road. And then for your information, any development in the indigenous area honestly, based on the guideline from local plan, and then for the city development and national in code at 65. So and a few any agencies. So for the number two is about the job opportunities. They are still difficult to get job opportunities. And then because it's another one is reason is a complication from another community level of the education of them. Okay, sekejap. Sabar. Okay, so number one, ecosystem and cultural conflict in between activities economy and Taman Negara Rose and development of forestry because before we go to forest, we need to provision first. This another one is we need for the research. Okay. And number four is regulate earth and natural disaster because land status is very complicated and not related yet. And then number two is witness of the poor administration because they are said before and not from me and from us. They are not given the speak the indigenous community actually, especially administrators, education, basic facilities, and the management assistant. Okay, for the conclusion, sorry. Okay, even Taman Negara Ika Wampin big development of the national industry, but the overall real life still not change much more. Still poor, income still low, and the environment issue. So for the government, if for bring them out of the poverty, still fail and they have the gap, especially social economy. And then for the leadership, for teacher, very fourth, we need to balance in between development and original culture of them. And then number two is land development program. For example, implemented with the more cultural and linguistic planning based on their needs according to area. And SDG related with the case study, SDG 1, 2, 3, 4, 16, and 70. That's all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wen. So next, I would like to invite Ms. Nur Shahira, who will be sharing about her paper entitled Exploring the State of Natural Waste and Ecosystem.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good evening. I would like to sorry. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi Okay. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Nurul. I'm actually a project officer under Policy Solution Unit, and also Okay, so I also came from a psychological background in developmental psychology. So I have a very deep interest in psychology and mental health of the people. So as the project officer, I often we always have monthly monitoring with the solution providers where we work closely with them to know the progress of the project. And I noticed that inside the report, there is a framework that we use to analyze the progress of the beneficiaries. It is called Meta Integral Framework, and it has four domains. One of them is deep impact, where we look into the emotional aspect, the self-esteem, motivation, self-satisfaction, and their community life. So this is where the idea of writing this paper comes from. So other than monitoring meeting, we also go on site. We visit the project and we do like small group discussions with the beneficiaries, and from there we identify that some of them have challenges in mental health aspect. So I would like to know what is the outcome or what is the lesson they learn or they can get from the project under the solution projects in the SDG. So, and I noticed that some of them actually face with challenges in life, and it affect their mental health and affect how they want to proceed with their life. And the interesting part is, in the solution projects, all the sessions, all the modules are conducted in group. So in here, we can see that there is social support that they receive, not only from the solution providers, but also from all the participants. And I'm going to show the second slide. Sorry. Oops. Okay, so if you can see here, down there, there is a comment from one of the beneficiaries. It's in Malay, but I will try my best to translate it in English. She said that when she learns, she can focus more, and it helps her to distract her from focusing on the problems, but just focus on the skills and focus on how to improve her life. Because in social projects, they learn how to they learn skills like sewing skills, how to paint, and like gardening and all. So they find that when they come into a place with the same interest, same passion, it helps them to boost their confidence, helps them to elevate their self-esteem, and it brings different changes to their behavioral aspect. So it helps her to repair her relationship with not only with themselves but also with the families and everyone around them. So this is where I found that well, social support is very important. It plays a very important role for everyone. So other than on-site visits, I also for this paper I also conduct one-on-one interview with the beneficiaries, the selected beneficiaries, to understand people about their issues. And from all the interviews, using the thematic analysis, I found three main things. Where the first one is positive social interaction, second one is social support, and the third one is improved mental well-being. These three things are the most common things that came out from the in-depth interviews with all the participants. So this is where I find that solution projects really helps these beneficiaries. It really helps them to play, it plays a very significant role to help them improve their lives and contribute to better mental well-being. So here, I want to take this opportunity to highlight a suggestion where I want to suggest that in one of the modules in the solution project should include mental health awareness module as well to help that will be led by a trained professionals like counselors and psychologists to help these beneficiaries to get to learn the right coping strategies to have a better mental health and improve their psychological well-being. So the conclusions that I learned from this study is not only quality education but also support system is equally important. So the social support is can help to increase their confidence levels, and the strong partnership between the solution providers and the beneficiaries is very important. So with that, I would like to say thank you to everyone for my sharing here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nur Shahira. Now, our third speaker for today is Ms. Dena with her paper Cultivating Sustainable Future, Community-Led Farming Initiatives in Malaysia by FATGMF.
Ah, okay, thank you everyone. Thank you everyone. My name is Dena and today I'll be presenting my paper. So just to let everyone know, I'm part of the community farming team. I'm a project management and also a research officer. So actually this journal paper, I remember writing it on Christmas Eve. I was trying very hard to finish it on the deadline to not worry during Christmas celebration. So this was written quite a while ago, but though it was reviewed several times, so we had to correct it many times. I really hope that I'm able to deliver just an overview of what this journal paper is about. So next slide. Before that, satu lagi sebelum itu. Okay, so just an overall context or brief overview of what actually this journal paper was about is actually showcasing our community farming initiative, where it introduces the methodology, the initiative, the objective, the purpose, and also the data breakdown on the types of farming that we introduce with the local communities. And at the same time, it also emphasizes on the food security challenges. So as we all know, Malaysia faces a lot of challenges with food security. And one thing that I found out was that Malaysia's performance has dropped in terms of global food security index. particularly in areas of affordability, availability, quality, safety, sustainability, and adaptation. So these are the current issues. So at APPGM, we recognize the need to build resilient communities and to address some of these challenges. So this community farming initiative has been introduced last year in 2023, but in total, there's about 251 community farming projects in total. Okay, sorry. Okay, in 2020, we started off with just 5 community farming projects. And up till 2023, we have a total of 251 community farming projects. In total, the participants, we have 3,243 participants. And considering an average household of 3.8, we are indirectly benefiting up to 12,000 individuals. So some of the key findings or key challenges that I noticed at the grassroots levels were limited access to markets, limited land access, weather constraints, lack of resources, and also expertise. So we recognize this and we see that there's an urgency to address this. And also another key finding that we found was one of the most predominant, or I would say popular farming practice was modern farming, which modern farming itself encompasses 106 projects out of the 251 projects. This is followed by animal breeding, which is at only 38 projects. So 50% of our projects are actually modern farming. So I noticed that there was a very growing interest or growing popularity with this type of farming because from what I understand, it's a popular solution to economic challenges, whereby it contributes to increasing household income, creates employment, ensures food resource availability, opens up market opportunities, and also reduce land requirements. But what I also discovered that there's a lot of mixed perception with modern farming. While there's a lot of advantages, there's a lot of disadvantages that were mentioned. So just like any kind of farming practice, there's a lot of challenges to modern farming. For example, I would say that when you are trying to integrate modern farming in an urban ecosystem or urban environment, which is known to be more dense in population, higher in pollution, and there may be limited fertilizer and also water supply. And the use of pesticide will also be increasing your pollution, hence your carbon footprint, and at the same time affecting water supply. But what I also discovered is that with good and safe practice, the application of modern farming can still be applied and still be able to benefit our communities. So with that being said, my next slide. So we are looking at 2 different case studies. So the first case study is best practices in the urban landscape. So this is conducted by Cuban Community PSJ1, not far from here actually. And I would say it's a model city farm whereby it's applying sustainable urban farming through organic principles. And it's a multi-tiered farming innovation, I would say all in one, because it has mushroom farming, composting, herbal, fruit cultivation, aquaponics, which is a mixture of hydroponics and aquaculture, all in one space. So you can say that, modern farming, it cannot be applied anywhere, but with this case study, it shows that even within a limited space, modern farming can be applied. And furthermore, this particular Kebun community also obtained a MyGap certification by Jabatan Pertanian and also able to generate income for their communities. So the community is consisting mostly of pensioners and also youths. So we can see that there's a very good impact here. And also following the next case study, which is modern farming in the rural landscape. So this is the application of modern farming in the rural landscape, which is done in Pensiangan, Sabah. So this one is introducing a new innovation through hydroponics. So Kampung Sinoran Pensiangan, Sabah has never done such innovation. And this project introduces that And its aim was to enhance productivity, reduce pesticide, and also reduce land usage. So whereby one participant with one greenhouse. So they were able to generate sustainable secondary income. And I was able to get testimonies from all of the 10 participants. And one of them really stood out to me where she was telling that she's able to support her children's secondary schooling because of this secondary income that she got from this project. So now currently this project is being projected 3 times more and is being replicated in 7 different kampungs or villages, we say. So we can see that there's an impact there in both urban and also rural landscape. So we can say that behind the complexities of urban farming or modern farming, we can see that it can improve not only productivity, but also socioeconomic conditions and transitions in our local communities. So next slide. One more, just one more. So this is just to end my presentation as a reflection. This quote is from La Via Campesino, which is a movement of farmers where they advocate for food sovereignties, where they define the right of people to healthy and culturally appropriate food produced through ecologically sound and sustainable methods, and their right to define their own food and agriculture systems. I really believe that in Malaysia, we should be adopting this. We should be recognizing, acknowledging that food is it's not just a valuable commodity, but it's a public good and it's a fundamental right where we should be placing our producers and democracy at the heart of the food system. So I really think that we should be adopting this, and I really think that there should be more inclusive policies where it incorporates diverse inputs and fair access to all. So with that, I'm ending my presentation. Thank you very much for listening. The photos there are all from the projects. Yeah, so 2 of this from the first case study and 2 of this from the other case study. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, next, I would like to invite Phyllis with his research.
I thank God and all of you for the opportunity given. It's truly an honor. This is a very interesting paper that I got to do with Siti Haja. I think she's online. She's one of our SDG agents, actually. So credits to her also for the empowerment and Zoa for leading the team in this. Okay, sorry. Thank you. The title of the paper, in summary, is The Engagement of Youth in Volunteerism. And I would focus much of my attention towards the discussion and also the recommendations, but I would like to give a background understanding of what's happening in terms of youth in volunteerism. So the study is quantitative. It does not hold as in-depth value as how a qualitative research would, but the reflections and the recommendations definitely give some sort of understanding and theoretical background. So the background of the study is indicating on what is the current situation of Malaysia in terms of youth engagement and volunteerism. We see a very declining approach towards youth engagement in civic spaces, especially within civil societies and voluntary action. Number 2 is our government is reducing the age of youth from 40 to 30 years old. And this act is going to be enforced in 2026. So the age is getting limited more and more. The youth in civic spaces, again, as I mentioned, the demographics are minimal. And an interesting factor in terms of gender involvement would be, UN indicates a 50-50 involvement of men and women in voluntary involvements. And interestingly, later on, I'll share with you the slides. of the findings that what we found through the platform. And finally, our APPGM SDG Youth Development Department. This whole study is solely focusing on the volunteers that joined us throughout the various different programs within APPGM for the youths. And we had about 323 volunteers across 2021 to 2023. And these are the reflections from that. Methodology, quantitative inclusion criteria, youths 30 and below joined as volunteers in our initiatives. Findings, very simple, very sweet and simple. Gender distribution, again, I mentioned earlier, UN states 50-50. Our volunteers, we had females slightly a bit more, 54.2% of females joined. Organizational affiliation, 76.5% was affiliated with organizations. Okay, now here's the limitation. This study, all our initiatives were, the information was sent out through our partners. But I would like to focus on this small number, 23.5. These 23.5 are the potential of those who come into the platform with a heart of interest or passion, because they do not have the access of information, but they strive to get it. Then, yeah, participants were connected to NGOs, CSOs, or think tanks. And many of them had prior volunteering experience. 72.1% was with prior volunteering experience. So indicating much of the discussion would say that if you already understand how it works, then you'll actually get more involved in it. So the next slide. Finally, nothing much, slight recommendation of what we can do to mobilize the youths in further acceleration toward bringing them toward social change or national development is on the parliamentary level. This is just the content slides, but we focus the content of the study on the planned behavior theory. And this talks about the attitudes and intentions. Attitudes as perceived behavior, and one more of it. Yes, correct. Thank you, Zoa. That forms the intentions of youth to involve in voluntary behavior, and also which shapes the behavior. So attitudes. What are some attitudes? When we have an idea or belief that the initiative would bring us success or internal motivation, then we would have a higher likelihood to engage in it. Number two, if you have a higher perceived control, for example, if the initiative that you're involving in would give you incentives, whether external or internal motivated factors of intensives, then there is a higher chances of you getting involved in the voluntary behavior. So therefore, much theoretically grounded, I would say, is the study in terms of providing a recommendation for parliamentarians, civil societies, and youths to provide incentives, whether internal or external motivated factors, increase budget, provide civil societies to provide youth-focused capacity buildings, expand outreach, and finally youths to actually move forward, take advantage of skills development program offered by civil societies and incorporate themselves or be active agents of change within the society. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The words pula saya. Okay, sorry. Sure. Yeah. Okay, it's today's picture. I change the picture. Okay, we take it this morning. Okay, time don't start yet. Please, thank you. Okay, so the paper is on actually on our solution projects. So to give you an overview, when we do our issue mapping visits on the ground, we'll be classified the issues to treat short term, mid term, and long term. So in terms of short term issues, the most effective intervention we took is actually to address those issues to get by running micro projects on the ground.
So those micro projects called the solution projects. Okay, so that's the title is all about. Before I go into topic, okay, so I just want to say something here about something personal here. I was a Facebook writer. Okay, I always write in Facebook, so I like writing. But the people who made me to write a journal article in a journal of Parliament Malaysia is here today, Mr. James and Dr. Denison. Without issue, think we all are not. I think we all agree on that. We won't be here.
But you're still writing in Facebook.
I'm still still writing in Facebook and LinkedIn. Thank you, Mr. James, for all your guidance. So I usually will joke with him. Okay, people who with him will never write short. We all will write long. But yeah, we again just learn from Dr. Denison. But now he's writing short. Okay, so that's the overall idea of why I'm standing here. Thank you for the blessings, both of you. Okay, so now I go into the topic. So in terms of our projects, we definitely need to have a kind of a principle, guiding principle, where we have taken values from. Okay, so the three main guiding principles that normally we will take up in our solution project as well as Kebun community projects is mainly from definitely the UN SDGs, but apart from that, we take from social principles as well as the social solidarity economy principles. These three are the guiding principles that we use to craft and draft and also to implement our solution projects on the ground. Okay, so when we talk about relational approach, okay, so we were hearing from just now Nurul and also Diana about the wows of the project. There are so many wows in their presentations. So how you create that wow? How you create successful, impactful projects on the ground? This is the formula. We call it formula. It's a planned formula between three engagements, three stakeholders, mainly the local people and organizations, the solution partner, as well as the empowerment models or APPTM SDG empowerment models. So it's kind of a three formula. Okay, it's kind of a kind of a three-party, multi-stakeholder, relational approach that enables all these wows to take place in our projects. We have so many publications, books, and so on, which is published, I think, from day one. Okay, it was published in all the documentations and so on. Then all that wow comes to this particular relational approach that we are taking. So number one is actually definitely local people who are actually informal and formal leaders that we normally will meet when we go on the ground, do the research. We convince them we are the good parties, we are not the, we are not the bad parties, and we make sure they trust us, we trust them, and we build relationship with them. Then comes the partners. They are the soul of the whole operation actually, our solution partners. We have about, at that time it was 364, I think now is more. Okay, so we have our partners who have some expertise in terms of running the projects and also some heart to really develop the people on the ground. And in most cases, they are actually the local partners on the ground at the local places. Okay, and they are actually multi-type organization. And the blend of these two comes together. So in terms of development of these people, we introduce our empowerment models. So the blend of three of these stakeholders, the solution partners, as well as the empowerment models, brings us the relational approach, of our solution project, which is the paper is all about. So this is the formula for all the wow that we have in our project. So in terms of the models that we adopt, of course, I put the name there by James Ryan Rush. The person who invented the model are here as well. So he invented this particular model which we adopt in both our solution as well as Kebun community projects, where two-party model. One is actually solution provider empowerment model. Another is the participation or people empowerment model on the ground. So these two act as enablers of the two before. Okay, the two people here, the local people as well as the solution partners, and it becomes kind of a key enabler for them to excel further and running the projects on the ground, creating impact and so on. So the paper is actually all about the relational approach that we have together with the models that we adopt in terms of getting the wow out from all our projects as what presented by Dana and also Nurul just now, and also many other projects. We have our partners here in Zoom. Actually, I congratulate all of you who actually adopted these models and bring success to your projects. Okay, so in terms of case studies in this particular article, I quoted two. One is actually our flat PKMS PJ case study. Another is actually very far. It's in Bali, Kedah, the northern state. Both are actually having different kind of challenges. One is a big tribal community in terms of social integration, and we started with economy empowerment. It goes into social mobilization, social mobility, and we now having a prominent leader from the community who are now a trainer running training for corporates, organizations, schools, and so on. And this journey, if you ask me, this is about maybe about 3 to 4 years journey. So if you look at the people, the concept just now, the local people, the solution partner, and the empowerment model created Sarah actually, who is the trainer now. So that's the concept that we are looking about. And in terms of the second case study in Bali in Kedah, it's a sewing project. Okay. Also, again, the blend of three, the local partner, the people, as well as APBM SDG model created the impact in all our projects. And if you look at here, this is actually a very prominent case study, our case study 2, where we actually published in numerous publications in this case study. And it was like kind of a popular story we usually tell. Okay. Yesterday was their pitching session for Asana project. So I was very proud that this case study is out here today. And Asana was asking, how can a sewing project make them earn 12,000 ringgit a month? They can't believe that is happening. But we have a bank statement proof for that to show that they really can earn up to, in Bali, in a northern poor state, they really can earn that much just by sewing dress and so on. So these are the few things that I wanted to share. Okay, I think that's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Fani. So with that, we end the first panel session. Before we move with our second panel, we'd like to invite Datuk Sri Mustafa Muhammad to give a few words.
Thank you, dear colleagues, including those of you online. I'm sorry I've got to leave in the next 5 minutes, so let me take about 5 minutes of your time. Firstly, I'm very pleased to be here. A group of very motivated young people. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thank you. Meeting a group of very young, motivated people, very passionate about their work. I've been learning. I mean, everywhere I go, I learn. So I learn a lot of things by listening to you people making your fantastic presentations. In life, you need to have a few skills. Writing, of course, is important, which is what Dr. Nadison is mentoring you. I mean, he's encouraging you through his university background. Yeah, university professors, they have to write, otherwise they will perish. They won't be able to survive in the academic environment. So what is bringing to APPGM is to transfer his knowledge, the university, to you guys, and this is a very good discipline. So one, you need to have an ability to write. I would say I have aspired to be a good writer. One time wanted to be a policeman, many other things, but it's something which I've never achieved this. I mean, to this day, in this, I mean, advanced age, I've not been able to write well. By the way, one, you need to be able to write well. Number two, of course, you need to be able to talk well. And now, in the current context, you need to be able to make good presentation. You need to be able to goreng pisang, good marketing skills. Yeah. So these are very important skills in life. And this, I'm pleased to note that you're learning from your work here. Very good training you're getting here through the solution project. I've read some of the reports done earlier and reports and other presentations, but I'm learning quite a bit today. One, how committed you are on the ground. I've been telling that to Dr. Dennison. When it comes to localizing SDGs in Malaysia, there's no other organization that has done a better job than you guys. Yeah, you go onto the ground, yeah, and you're very passionate, very committed. The other is the very methodological approach which we have followed, which is starting with profiling. I've always emphasized it, having a good database. That's important before you come up with any policy or solution. You need to understand the profile of the community, and that's a must. When you go to any constituency, you need to do a proper profiling. So you've done that. That's another discipline. In the process, more importantly, you get to understand what's happening on the ground. I've been telling people in Putrajaya, sometimes there's a big disconnect between what's happening in the villages and what's happening in Putrajaya. You guys, by going to the ground, you know what's happening in the villages, the kind of mental pressures they're going through, the youth, the problems, challenges faced by you, many others. And some of you have become probably better than MPs. You certainly good candidates for MPs. If the country is looking for succession plan, yeah, you probably want to assign all your young people here to one parliamentarian so that one day they can take over the job of some of the MPs. So this is, I'm telling you, very good training you're getting from APBGN, very good discipline, writing skills, presentation skills, which are so essential in life. But more importantly, you are adding to the body of knowledge. As Dr. Dennison said, you can recycle some theories, some thoughts, but what you're doing here is thought leadership. Yeah, you're telling me about the comments by Yasin Hassana. They appreciate what you've done. We need to understand more what's going on in the ground. I think oftentimes we do things by closing our eyes, go to the ground and do whatever needs to be done. And sometimes, of course, you shoot at the wrong target. Yeah? But by having a very detailed, professional, objective analysis and profiling, you've been able to do a good job. My final point is that I think, as I've said this many times, the challenge is in ensuring that it is sustainable. The importance of factoring the cost factor in all this. There's a cost. When you move from here to whatever, Mersing or Jeli, whatever, there's a cost involved. And this we are doing well. When they talk about community farming and other solutions, there's a cost involved. The money comes from someone, from government or CSO, and you are seldom factored in that. So what I would like to suggest going forward, you take a few examples, factor in all the direct and indirect costs, and then get the returns, the income, and it's got to be sustainable. It's not one-off. Yeah, this is not new. I have shared with you, but I find this to be lacking. If you want my comment on some of the things you're doing, that's one area you can improve, which is to factor in the costs and the return you're getting. Yeah, not just the direct returns, but indirect returns in terms of changing people's mindset, in terms of changing people's mental health, for example. Yeah, there's got to be a proper analysis on that. So thank you. Not too sure whether I'm adding anything to the body of knowledge, but I'm impressed with the work you've done. It is good to practice writing well in journals, in newspapers, and by doing so, you will be able to influence people's thinking and government perhaps. When you write newspapers, people read, some, not all. When you write books, journals, people read, and some of these ideas are original, and you might be introducing a game-changing solution to some of the problems you're facing in this country. Yeah. So once again, thank you. Pleasure to be here. As I said, I learn every second, every minute I go to a place, listen to people, I learn something. And today I learned how passionate you are and how committed you are to your work and your desire to do better, contributing to the wealth of knowledge in order to improve policy making and more importantly, implementation of some of these policies. So once again, I would like to offer my sincere congratulations. We have a guest here from Bangkok. You are, what's your name again? You are Juliet from Bangkok. Welcome to Malaysia. Yeah? So you are making this presentation not only to Malaysians, but also to Juliet. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, I'm done. Yeah. We'll see you on the 29th. 29th. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Next, we will continue with the second panel to discuss about SDG policies at the local and global stage. So please welcome Dr. Ken, Nurul Faizal, and Dr. Anderson. We will start with Dr. Ken, who will be sharing about empowering development planning and implementation at the district level of governance in Peninsular Malaysia.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Denson, Juliet, our guests and friends. So my presentation is on, next slide, please. It's on development and also district officers. I'm supposed to control the thing, right? Sorry. Never mind, just one slide, yeah. Okay, so I won't talk about my paper. I think you can read the paper later. It's not important. It's important, but also not important. But what I wanted to do now, to take some of the 5-7 minutes I have just to explain some of the things you can think about when you read the paper, right? So the background, the context for it is how we think of development. Number one, what kind of development we want, for who and why. And the other one is how do we deliver this development. So those are the two big themes that I like us to think about when we read that article. So when you go through the article, there are a few issues that arises, that emerges, and I like to go through some of these issues that I try to highlight when talking about development and planning and delivery at the district level. So one of the issues that we have, and we talked about this many times, is always our conception of development is very narrow. When we talk about development, it's always material development, number one. The second problem is we are always concentrating all our resources at the central level. I think our friends in the previous sessions have shown how important these projects are in the rural outskirts. So there's a very excessive, even obnoxious centralization of wealth in the Klang Valley, and this is very bad. Number 3 and number 4 is there's some form of institutional memory loss and also stagnancy or inertia. Meaning, because we have been doing things for so long the same way, we cannot change anymore and we are reluctant to change, right? And the last one, of course, is when you put everything at the central level, then you don't know what's happening. Again, you see our community projects, our friends have presented in the first session, they are so beneficial because they are close to the community, they know what's happening, they don't have someone from the top dictating, okay, you must have this, you have that, you have that. So those are some of the issues and challenges when we talk about development and how we deliver. Now, some of the way forward and what are the things that we can write more or talk about as we embark on sustainable development work and agenda. Number one is that I think we need to change our idea of development, and I think that comes up in the article and all our work I'll do. So it involves not only economic development, but health, education, living. Dr. Dennison likes to talk about development as freedom. I think we should go even more than that. And I had the privilege of reading his manuscript for his next book. He talks about development as justice. I think we should take up that mantra, development as justice, a very holistic conception development. We should then try to forego this idea that big is beautiful. I think less is more, small is beautiful. I think we should put things where it's supposed to be, berlaku adil kan, letak tempat yang sepatutnya, right? So put things where they should be, where people know what to do, where they need to do, how to do it. And which goes back to the next one, which is when we do all this work, I think we need to empower. And I think that's what our friends, and we have case studies and examples to show that when we empower local communities, they can do better. So in my paper, in our case, you empower the district office so that delivery of development can be better. Last of all, and I want to propose this, Dr. Denison, is that I think, again, when in at least in the scholarly field, we always talk about, the Berkeley Mafia, the Monash Mafia. Why can't we have an APPGM school of thought, for example? Because we have been doing this work for 4 or 5 years now. We want to leave a mark. We want to leave a legacy. We should call it the APPGM School of Thought. If I say Denison School of Thought, later you say I bought that him, right? So I say the APPGM School of Thought, right? Mr. Pani has shown how James has come up with that model. We can build on this model. So we combine theory with practice with case studies, and it becomes a school of thought, our school of thought. So I think that's one of the ways forward. And I think it will be beneficial for parliamentarians, for ministry officials to take this up. Next slide. So next one. Yeah, so this is just a quote. I like to just share my reflections on this whole writing process is that, and I think we should write, as Tok Pa said, Dr. Dennison said, and many others have to say, no one will read your writing. I think maybe everyone will forget, but it's still important to write. I think we still need to write. And when we write with a purpose. We want to make a difference. Whether it makes a difference or not, it doesn't matter. You need to write. Right? So once you write, I think I'm sure, and as Dr. Lisa mentioned, somebody will read it. So it's important to put words. So we've put words into action. Now we put words onto paper, right? So I think that is all. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Nathan and everyone and all the whole team for being a fabulous team. I think this is possible only because of everyone. And yeah, continue writing, continue talking, continue doing, right? Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Ken. Next, we have Ms. Shaza with her paper entitled Kepentingan Perancangan Pembangunan Inklusif bagi Memastikan Kelestarian Sosial, Ekonomi dan Alam Sekitar, kajian kes Parlimen Kuala Langat.
Okay, hi everyone. So actually my paper is okay, so actually my paper is in Malay, but since we have a guest, so I will present in English. So before I start, maybe I will introduce myself. Okay, my name is Nur Shaza and my background is actually a town planner. Before this, I've been working in planning consultant, doing the policy for the national level, even the state level and also the local level. So actually in my paper is like, I try to oversee overall the problems from the top to the bottom. So maybe it's a little bit related to the policies, which is about Act 172, which is about Town Planning Act. So next. So actually why I wrote this paper is because of Dr. Denison when we go to the Kuala Langat, because almost all LGD in Kuala Langat is people try to talk the problem of the planning, and in the car during that time Dr. Denison and also the team for the site visit asked me, Shaza, why all people here ask about planning? So that's why I start to think to write this paper. So because the level of sensitivity of the people at Kuala Langat is very high about the local development plan and also any new developments at Kuala Langat. And then I try to understand overall from the start focus group discussion until we meet the agency, what is the challenges, why this happen, why do people always complain, why do people always object with all the development plans. So actually, because of these challenges have caused the development plans become unsustainable, that cause they affected by economy, environmental, and also social. And then we can see there is a need for us to see the people views during we preparing the development plans. So the case study is stated at Parliment Kuala Langat. So the target group is including the local residents in Kuala Langat, which is from Kampung Batu Sembilan, Kampung Sungai Manggis, penduduk Jenjarom, fisheries, and also indigenous people from Pulau Keri. So the main reference for this paper is Town Planning Act, the guidelines to do the social impact assessment for any developments, and then our issue mapping report itself, and also the local plans for Kuala Langat. Next. So this is the findings. So when we are looking through from the top, which is about the act, so we can see that there is a provision has been stated that any development plan should be inclusive. We should tell everyone about these development plans. It's been provided in the section 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, and so on. And also if for the new development itself, for the single development, also have a provision in the Act in the section 20, 21, and also 22, whereas all the developers should do the social impact assessment. They need to meet to the residents who are affected directly. But why this has happened? But why the people still object? Why people still complain? Their voice still not being heard. So the next step are looking at how far the public engagement engaged in this process. And from the interview with the Majlis, with the local authority told us that
the response they receive is just about 100 only. So it's very low actually if you compare with the KL. As we know, the KL is a metropolitan city, but we can see the area of the KL is smaller than this Kuala Langat. But the KL almost for the structure plan, they got about more than 1,000 objection. For the city plan, more than 1,000 and so on. That's why the development plans has been delayed to be gazetted, because they receive this objection from the people. So if there is a lesser objection during these development plans, so the problem will affect the latter lah. And then why does this happen? There must be a challenges faced by the public. This is because they have a very limited knowledge about the development plans. They don't know that development plans has been done. And then they also said that the discussions only involved by the local leaders, which the local leaders never discuss with this grassroots community, which is affected directly. And then even the transparency of the assessment is not being trusted. The people said even they have complained with the developer, but developer don't take their voice. So it's a very something wrong there. And then there is a overlapping jurisdiction among the agency itself to solve the issue. And then what's the impact? The impact is the people will lose their rights to their land. Like happened in this picture. Their house is just sprayed with the zinc with the industry. And then they just being told, please go to other place. They are being replaced to other place. So they lost their rights. And then the next is they also lost their source of income as for the fisheries, whereas most of them are depends on the fisheries resources. So, and then the next is about pollution, because there are so many industry in Kuala Langat, so they are affected, their health are affected there. Next. And so this is a proposed solution where we should to see how to strengthening the development plans, on how the process should be strengthening. And then I also try to propose about on how we should enhance the public engagement. So this development plan can collect all the voice, even from the grassroots communities. So that's all for my paper. Thank you.
Thank you, Nintanta. So next, I would like to invite our final speaker of the day, Dato' Denison, to talk about UN resolution on the role of Parliament and parliamentarians in accelerating the achievement of the SDG.
Okay. Oh, no, can't hear. Okay, hello. Okay, I think we are almost up in time, but I thought before I present my slide, or like Ken said, you can read the paper and then talk to me, or buy me a cup of tea and I will talk to you about my paper. Now, I thought overall I was quite impressed with the presentation. Short presentation, tapi I think it gave an opportunity. We can improve on our presentation style, slide, and things like that. But I was quite impressed with Nurul. Where's Nurul? Yeah, Nurul's article, because here is a person who took her own professional training, which is psychology. I think we had a lot of discussions. I think I actually discouraged her from joining us to go work as a psychologist somewhere. But I thought it was a good use of a skill to then look at local data and look at women and well-being, level of stress. Maybe she should do one on the staff, whether we are all psychologically fit or not. But I think this is important, using the toolkit. I think Ken sort of did not give the significance of his paper, actually, because I liked his paper very much, because not because he has more of my name in the footnote, but uh, but but because the area of district office, and many of us struggle with DOs, ADOs, and all that. It's quite important. And Shazaz, I went with her to Kuala Langat, which is my hometown, where my grandfather, my father, myself all lived and grew up. On the local plans and the struggles. Panir, I think, brought out, I think of all the papers, there's only one who tried to develop a model and then tried to brand the model. But the person whom he was branding actually never published. Maybe you have to publish a book on your theory and your thought. It's actually quite a good development of thought. That means, huh? International. Maybe that's James' PhD work now. So I think that is something now emerging from the solution project. There's a kind of movement to the organization and the kind of circle design of empowerment that he highlighted. I think Dana likewise brought the food security, the women in the model. So you're looking at how our work is moving on. I haven't started mine. I'm Magulo. And I think Phyllis one on youth volunteerism and trying to draw from data. I think this is something that even capacity building team can actually look at. Some of you are doing micro studies, multidimensional poverty studies. You can start analyzing it in that way. And Dr. Wan's Orang Asli, because Orang Asli, we got so many different compounds and areas to look at whether the issues are similar or not. The Orang Asli, we went to the kampong where Dr. Wan thought we needed police protection to go in. So but they took the government to court in that case. Now, when you read these articles, the book is quite thick. I actually lost my copy, but that's all right. Look at the footnotes. I think it's very interesting that our own writers are actually quoting other works that we ourselves have done. I know James has been quoted, sometimes me. I think Zoel's side is quoting their own article, but it's good. That means the footnoting and the reuse of footnotes are quite an important academic process. Read the bibliography. I think all of you had a selection of articles or books. So it's an important process that we have gone through. And the next deadline is December 31st. So I know you got your targets, you're going to take annual leave, but before you do that, think of an article from what you are doing to do something of 4,000, 5,000 words. We can discuss it, you can interact, and then see how you can build on. Like Karu can write about his neighborhood projects, you know. Rama can write about her leadership, managing so many different people and so forth. Okay, that's by way of encouraging us to think through and develop it. Now, my article, sorry, timing sudah. My article actually, I must confess, I actually didn't know any of the things that I wrote about till September last year. I didn't know the UN took so many resolutions on parliament and parliamentarians. Although we started our work in 2019, nobody told me, nobody highlighted. I know, as far as I know, nobody in Malaysia knows there are such resolutions on the one. And there are three key resolutions that came up. We can look at them. But it's talking about the importance of parliament and parliamentarians in the localizing of SDG. 3 resolutions. So the question then comes, what is a resolution? What is a declaration? What is a convention? So there is a process in which the UN brought out a resolution, which is then listed and noted that parliamentarians are an important process. Not one, not two, but 3. And in each one, you can see my slides and all, it extends to youth, it extends to women, it extends to their oversight role and its importance also on localizing. That are the 3 key resolutions. Now, we presented that to the speaker as well. Next. Yeah, you can read this. Next. And then we found there were 4 global organizations that are involved in promoting parliamentarians' role at the global level. And this one, the main one is the Interparliamentarian Union. Dato Rohani used to be a speaker. She was in 2022 when she attended the UN. And this year I attended the meeting. Last year I attended the meeting, but they only allow parliamentarians to speak at their meeting. But they are important. They are in 180 countries, and they have an office in Geneva and so forth. So it's an important group, and we are in touch with them. Our newsletter carries that. Next. We have the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, actually we didn't realize that the Secretary General came to Malaysia. He didn't contact me, but he saw Anthony. And he said, I know this person, me. So Anthony took a photo and sent me. At that time, saya lupa lah muka orang putih ni. And I said, I didn't know who this person, but he was the secretary. It's unfortunate, we should have invited him. He came for a British function, High Commission function, but the Commonwealth Association, and I got Zoel to look at their training material on SDG. And then it's the Parliamentarians for Global Goals, which is the Denmark group. We have been active with them. And the 4th group, which is the Washington group, Parliamentarians for Global Action. So there are global movements that we need to link with, although we are local, but we are a secretariat to parliamentarians. Don't forget that. Our actual bosses or the people we are working with are parliamentarians, and we want to get them active. Actually, maybe what we should try to do is our next articles, make sure our co-writer is a member of parliament. Because the editorial in this editorial, it's calling parliamentarians to write. Maybe they are busy lah. So kita bersama-sama tulis lah. You take like Kuala Langat, then get him to come in, edit the letter. Maybe Dr. Su should explore that even in your papers that we might want to do, get the chairpersons of the focus groups to respond. Those are my thoughts. I know I went beyond my time. The timekeeper gave up because she didn't know what to do with a character like me. Thank you very much.